So I am Doreen Tannenbaum, the Strategic Initiatives and Communications Manager with UCI's Procurement Services. We have two guests presenting today one from Tangram, our furniture supplier, and one from UCI Design and Construction Services. The presentation is going to be followed with questions and answers, and a recording of today's session is going to be sent out via email and available on our procurement website by next week. The slide deck is available today, so I'll drop that in the chat just in case you haven't received it. And next slide, please. Let me drop it in the chat. There we go. Okay. Just like to remind everyone that we do have training guides and videos available on our training section found at the top of the procurement website. If you would like to request group or one-on-one training, please open up a ServiceNow ticket to set that up. Next slide, please. And I want to bring to your attention a UC procurement training on our 5 new system-wide agreements for branded promotional products. This is taking place this Thursday at 11 o'clock. I will drop the link to register also in the chat for you. Highly recommend attending if you do any promotional purchasing for your department. Next slide, please. Oh, I think we went one too far. Can you go back one? Thank you. Okay. And just a reminder that we have our biweekly office hours every other Tuesday from 9 to 10. I invite you to join us for any questions you may have to watch and watch us go through any live demos on KFS. If you'd like a calendar invite, please send me a message and I'll forward you the link. Just a reminder, if there are no questions within the first 15 minutes, we end our session early, but we're always available for additional questions if you open up a ServiceNow ticket. I'm going to turn it over to Snehal Bhatt to introduce our agenda and our speakers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doreen. Welcome everybody to this training session. Hope you will find value in that, and appreciate you taking the time to be here. As Doreen mentioned, we do have Tangram, who's going to be presenting us in collaboration with Steelcase. So Tangram is our manufacturing rep, actually, for Steelcase and other furniture products. Just so you know, we basically had our supplier showcase that hopefully many of you attended back in last September. And we had 4 platinum sponsors who were given the opportunity to come and present to all of you. So we are having Tangram and Steelcase present today. So, I'm going to let Taylor Hinkey, who is from Tangram, and Jen King, who is from Steelcase, make their presentations. And once that's done, we have Brenda Junis from Design and Construction Services, who is going to walk us through the differences between maintenance and construction, and when we should be processing your request through a PO versus whether it should be a construction contract that we need to be going through. So she's going to try to help sort it all out for us, and hopefully you will then be able to make informed decisions when you need to make purchases or put requests. Let's get started and have Taylor and Jen take us through their presentation.
Thank you, Snehal. Hi, everyone. We are so honored to be here, and I really appreciate you allowing us to present to you about who we are, Tangram and Steelcase. I'll introduce myself first. My name is Taylor Hinkey. You can go to the next slide. So first, I want to share with you who your team is from Tangram and Steelcase. There's myself, Taylor Hinkey, and Jen King from Steelcase. We are your main points of contact. We have our phone numbers and emails on the screen. And we are your day-to-day contacts when you need anything related to furniture. So we're on campus all the time. We're meeting with clients all of the time. We're your go-to people. But I also wanted to show you who your support team is. There are so many people behind the scenes who help UCI on a day-to-day basis that you guys don't get to see all of the time. So I want to introduce to you Tristan Cranenberg. She is one of our sales directors. Taylor Vasu is our project manager. So for every project that's being installed on campus, every furniture item that's being installed on UCI's campus coming from Tangram, Taylor is directly helping with that. Italia Lucio is our fantastic designer. She helps with all things furniture related on campus. And then Jeremy, he is our client support specialist. He has actually been with Tangram for 20 years. And I believe out of those 20, he's been on UCI for at least 10. So he knows all of the ins and outs of your needs, the specific contracts that you guys purchase off of, and so much more. So you have a very, well-educated team supporting you guys from the background. Next slide, please. So just a little fun thing about me to get to know me is I love puzzles. So you'll see on the screen here, I have done several puzzles, probably in the 30s over the last year with my husband. We newly became very obsessed with puzzles. Yes, that dog face is a puzzle, and it was the hardest puzzle we'd worked on so far. But I share this with you just so you can get to know a little bit about me, but also how this relates to my job. I love tackling a challenge, and I love putting all of the pieces together to find a solution. So that's what makes me so great at helping you guys find solutions for your furniture needs. So next slide. A little bit more about Tangram. We are a 400 plus employee company. And I share this with you just to show you, again, how many resources are at your fingertips with us. Not only do you have myself and Jen and our support team, but with large projects as big as, the newest Falling Leaves building to even the smallest projects, we have so many resources we can tap into at our office and in our warehouse as well. Our next slide. Another really exciting fact is we are a women-owned business. So Sonia Lozowski became the primary owner or the majority owner of Tangram last year. And it's just something we are very proud of, the fact that our company celebrates and empowers women in leadership roles. Next slide. Well, I'll keep going. So our next slide is really just about our warehouse. So we have a 170,000 square foot warehouse in Santa Fe Springs. So that's just south of downtown Los Angeles. And that's where all of our furniture comes in. All of the furniture that we order from Steelcase and other manufacturers, we receive them in our warehouse and then we deliver them to you. So that's where our largest resource is. But I also want to share with you in our next slide that we have a showroom or an office right here in Newport Beach. It's really more Irvine because I can see all of the planes behind me going off out of Santa Ana Airport. And it's really about 10 minutes from your campus. So we love to host people here to, buy you lunch, talk to you about your project, work with our team, all of us in person, show you samples. It's a really great place for you guys to come to also just see furniture in person. Really helps you visualize exactly what you're ordering. So we always encourage everyone to come out here and do a showroom tour, and I would love to help you do that. And then our next slide is about Jen, so I'm going to hand it over to her.
Good afternoon, everybody. Nice to, see pictures of your faces. I'm Jen King with Steelcase. About me, so I'm about a year into SoCal. I came here from Atlanta, where I went to an SEC school, so I love college football. I'm adjusting to what it looks like here. It's a little bit different. While I was at Auburn, though, I did study interior design. So for the first part of my career, I did commercial spaces, commercial design. So that is something that I don't think will ever leave my blood. So it's a skill that I carry into supporting you all on campus and other UC schools as well. When I'm not working, I actually am out exploring the trails of SoCal, and I'm a big runner. I love trail running and ultra running. So for me, that's distances over marathons. So my last race was in October. It's the bottom two pictures. I did 100K, so a 62-mile race. For me, what that means in terms of my work is I am committed, I'm dedicated, and I persevere. And part of that is sometimes things just don't go as planned, right? So we have something in mind, so you have to be able to pivot and be agile. And in the world of what we do with design and furniture, we try to make it as seamless as possible, but also be ready for if things have to shift on the dime. So that's kind of how it applies to like outside of work into work as well. Next slide, please. So for Steelcase, this year we're celebrating 113 years as a company. We are a global manufacturer. We are based here in the US in Michigan. We have a huge global business center there. We also have manufacturing locations across the world because we do like to support and be able to deliver products regionally. We are so proud of our dealers. Tangram is a huge partner of ours and they're a great support system. And something to celebrate within the Steelcase culture is when a dealer is a premier partner, which Tangram is, and it means that they excel at demonstrating excellent customer service. Their high quality and performance standards are second to none. So you have a great partner in the Tangram team with Taylor and the folks that she talked about. Next slide, please. So for Steelcase, I talked about it being global. You saw a few faces on Taylor's team for what you see here behind me in terms of the Steelcase function. There are 12,000 employees, and what's so great about being connected globally is that we've got access to information and research. We have a team dedicated to researching the world of workers in the workplace, and that is on the healthcare side, that's on the education side, and of course, just offices day to day. And that research leads to insights, which is essentially how we develop and create our product solutions that we offer to you all. And it's so important to have a broad portfolio. So we have really amped that up over the years, making sure that you have options to select from. And then we are also working on the sustainability portion, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. Next slide, please. So that kind of brings me to the UCOP contract part of it. So the elements about Steelcase are what contributed to us being awarded the contract. And it has to do with the choices within our portfolio, our performance, quality, and sustainability. Next slide. So as you can see here, talking about choices, we understand that you may not want it to look like a Steelcase showroom, and you might want to have a variety of options to choose from. And so we have been continuously adding brands under the Steelcase umbrella, and that ranges from technology all the way through accessories and spaces, maker spaces, trying to kind of hit every avenue so that you have a one-stop shop with a variety of aesthetics, a variety of price points, and a variety of ways to solve for your business needs. Next slide. And one more slide, please. Our warranty, we talk about the quality of Steelcase. I always joke about it uglying out before it wears out. It will stand the test of time. My dad, he was employed at the state of Alabama for years and years. And after I started at Steelcase, he sent me a picture of a file or pedestal that had been in there for 20 something years. And I just kind of chuckled, it's a beautiful mauve color, which is back in now. So, maybe that's a good thing. But we test our products to failure. And there is a standard in the industry, a BIFMA standard. We test 3 to 5 times beyond that just to make sure that you can count on what you have in your space. And as you can see on the right part of the screen, we've got the lowest warranty claims rate in the industry. And what that means is that it'll perform. And we have the other benefit to the warranty is that it's set up so that you just pick up the phone and you call Taylor's team, and the labor, the parts, all of that gets covered under warranty if you happen to need that. Next slide. And then the other piece is around the sustainability part. This one's really important to Steelcase, and we've been focused on this early. And I said we've been around for 113 years, but even since the genesis of our organization, it's always been something that's top of mind. We right now are the first in our industry to post a roadmap to become a net zero organization by, I think it's, oh, I can't remember right now. I'm like, it's 2030 or 2050. Either way, we surpassed our goals to be carbon neutral years ago, and are now working with our entire supply chain, start to finish, on our products to be net zero. And so it's not just one specific product, it's as an entire company. And then we also contribute to that in making selections for you as an organization. And that's another piece that was really important to the UCOP, and part of the contract is making sure that we are contributing to sustainability. So we can pull reports, environmental metric reports for reporting, which I know is something that they've been after the schools for. So we're looking at how we design for circularity. So making sure that products that are in place, even if you don't necessarily like how it looks today, can we help to give it a little facelift or an update so that it still is functioning and supporting your needs and meeting the current needs. And then we're also focused on making sure we're choosing good materials responsibly for not just the finishes, but everything down to the nuts and bolts that put these pieces together, and then reducing our carbon footprint as well. Next slide. So those were kind of the basic elements around what was super important when we went through the bid process to be a part of the UCOP contract. The other part is really about partnership. And here is kind of an overview of how we work with you and Tangram to bring projects to light. And as Taylor mentioned, it can be like a single chair all the way up to falling leaves. It doesn't matter the size or scale, but we really want to understand what's important to you or your users. What are you trying to create in your space? And then sitting side by side with you to come up with a solution that really solves for that, and thinking about it in terms of how you as users interact with one another, how you interact with space, how you interact with the tools that you're using. So it's a really holistic experience. And then we execute on that with the install and the delivery and install and all that. And then we are also thinking about measurement. And it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to collect data in terms of sensors and things like that, although sometimes that's really helpful. But even paying attention to how someone is using a space. Did they make a modification? Maybe they stuck books underneath their monitor, or under their computer monitor because it wasn't the right location or height. So maybe we need a monitor arm there. So there's a little more flexibility. So those are small things and how we measure and then iterate on that. So you're continuously paying attention to how work evolves and what small changes can be made so that you can evolve over time. Next slide. And then additionally, we've got different ways to support some of that work. So we can work with end users to help them align on what their vision is for their space. We can conduct user workshops, leader workshops to figure out what solutions might help them collaborate better. What spaces do they need to provide respite? All the way through concept reviews and a pilot experience where you're actually testing out the specific products that you think might be viable. So a wide range of offerings as part of the partnership and support of the UCOP. Next. And then here are just some basic examples where we can do conceptual floor plans. We can color code it based on space types. We even will get down into the details sometimes and do call outs on what type of spaces are and kind of the why behind the way a space is created. Because I've learned over the years as a designer, and then even now on this side, you don't know what you don't know, and our end users are the same way. Until we kind of talk through and explain the why, it really kind of helps create the vision and understanding around why we might create a solution the way we do. Next. And then space trends, one more slide forward, please. These are the common space trends that we're seeing in the education side of the business, and it does carry over into administrative faculty spaces. I will not read any of these off to you because they're here for you to know, but what you do need to take away from this is that we've got research, data, information, thought starters in all of these types of space trends. We'd love to talk to you about it if you or others within the organization have needs or are curious to know more. And then if we'll just kind of slowly click through the next few slides, which just show some images of some of the types of setups. So you've got faculty offices that we can create, knowing that there are different levels of storage, different types of seating, various needs. We have spaces that support open office. Keep going, please. Yep. Maybe it's a collaborative space. It could be a student commons, a library space. It could be a cafe space. So we see all these type maker space here, all these types of spaces, a classroom throughout campuses where we're looking at and this is the last one here on my side, where it's different levels of privacy, different postures, where it's seated, lounge, standing. So we can accommodate all of that within our portfolio. And Taylor, I will turn it back over to you.
Thank you. So I put this slide together to showcase just some of the questions and inquiries that I get typically across campus, and they really range, you can see. So can we reconfigure these old cubicles? I get that one a lot. You know, we need to redesign 25 offices. Where do I even start? My height adjustable desk doesn't go up and down. Can you help me? Do you only sell steel case? There are so many inquiries that we get across campus. And if you want to advance to the next slide, I just want to share that we really are a resource for so many things for you. Steelcase is our primary partner, and you can see just from the last few slides how valuable they are. I did want to point out that we do have access to sell over 500 different manufacturers. So if you're building or your your business unit in the school is standardized on a different manufacturer, any that you see here, we can help. There's so many more that we can purchase from. So don't feel like you're limited to Steelcase when you come talk to us. We obviously feel very passionate about why you should purchase Steelcase, but I just want to share that with you as well. And then advance to the next slide, please. The long and short of this entire presentation, though, is that when you come to us, the experience will be simple. Whether you're needing to reconfigure cubes, whether you're needing to outfit an entire 6th-floor building, or if you just need one chair and one desk and one, storage pedestal, we can help you with that. The step one is really the designing and plan. You call us, we'll come out to talk to you, we'll take measurements of your space, and we will work with you and your end user to come up with a plan, a floor plan, and a layout that works for both of you. Order management, as you saw, Jeremy, the 20 years of experience, he really helps with that order management side. And so does Steelcase, making sure that the order is placed, things are arriving on time. We are procuring all of those products for you. Our finals, our 4th step is installation. Taylor Vasu, she's the one on the ground helping ensure that our labor team is installing everything properly. We move you in, and then we have that continued relationship, as what Jen said. We're measuring activity. We're helping you iterate on that. We're using Steelcase to help you do that. And even just, like I said, if your height adjustable desk stops going up and down, we can come out and help you with that as well. So we have a few more slides just showing product that we have currently on campus. Doreen, if you want to click through those, or whoever's running the slides, but we can now open to Q&A, and hopefully you have some questions for us that we'd be happy to answer.
Do we have any questions for our speakers today, either Taylor or Jen? And
You know what?
I
Going
do
back
want to also mention that there is a really great opportunity to win this task light. I'll let Taylor talk about it, but I'm going to put the link also in the chat. So if you don't have your phone handy, you can still enter.
Thank you. Awesome. Yeah. So we created this opportunity for you to win a Steelcase Eclipse task light. It is a light that you can have on your desk. If you rotate it towards yourself, it also sort of serves as a webcam light if you're on Zoom and you need that extra light on your face. It also has a mirror. And then at the base, it's a charger. So it's a really cool item. So we'd love for you to enter and hopefully win. And then if you actually don't mind going back a slide, just one other thing, we mentioned our Newport showroom and also the incredible umbrella of Steelcase brands. And in the next month, from March 6th to the 19th, we are actually hosting a design discovery tour. Jen and I will be here showcasing all of those Steelcase partner brands from around the world. So we'd love to have you, your end users, come into that space and just really be able to touch and feel product and hopefully get inspired about future projects. But again, I know I've said this before, but we really just are here at your disposal. I'd love to hear questions from people, understand what challenges you have on campus and how we can help fix them. We've been a resource on campus for so many years now, and we hope to continue to be a really wonderful partner for you guys.
And this tour is at your Newport office, which is really actually Irvine, bordering just Irvine, within like stone's throw from our
Yes.
campus.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, thank you so much for having us. I
you.
will put our contact information in the chat as well. So please feel free. Don't hesitate to reach out, and we'd love to partner with you guys.
Thank you, Taylor and Jen, for taking the time to come and present your company's offerings and what you can do for us and our constituents on campus. We appreciate that. And yeah, if those who did not get a chance to take that scan of the QR code, maybe we can give them another chance. I don't know if I'm qualified for it or not, so I will not scan it.
Of course
But
you are, Snehal.
It looks
Thank
pretty
you very
cool.
much for your presentation.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. We appreciate that very much.
Mhm. Well, thank you both for joining us today. We're going to go to our next presentation. And so you're welcome to stay on, Taylor or Jen, or if you want to hop off, it's up to you.
Yes, so as I had mentioned at the beginning of the training, the second part of our presentation is going to be by our colleagues at Design and Construction, Brenda. I don't see Brenda yet.
I'm here,
Yes,
Snehal.
She's on.
Oh, you are there. Okay. I can't see you. Oh, there you go. There she is. All right. So Brenda, you may want to, yeah, I know that your name changed, but your email still keeps saying, your premarital status.
It's a long story, Snehal.
Yes.
It involves me being an undergrad and then working part-time, then full-time, and then leaving, coming back. So we don't have time for that.
Yes. No. So yes, I would like to introduce you all to Brenda, an excellent collaborator and partner for us from Design and Construction. We partner very, very closely with Brenda in facilities management and design and construction to make sure that all the requests that are being processed are done correctly, and we have the right folks involved in the process. So we appreciate Brenda partnering with us to come here and share with us and all of you all the things that you should be aware of when it comes to making decisions, whether it should be a PO process or procurement, or you need to go through the design and construction office or facilities management in many cases, if it's a small maintenance project. So take it over. Brenda, you can
Thanks,
introduce
Snehal.
yourself and take it on. Yep.
Okay, thank you. And likewise, procurement's been a great partner in this whole process. So it looks like maybe Helen's driving the presentation. which is great.
Yes, I am.
I'm
Thank
okay
you.
with that. Awesome. Thank you. Well, thank you for having me. I am here to discuss the topic of construction versus maintenance and whether you as department buyers or representatives of your department can use a purchase order for certain instances. So I'm here to talk about that. Next slide, please. And give me a minute while I reorient my computer. It won't hang up, I don't think so, but maybe. Okay, perfect. I think I'm oriented. So the objective today, at least for me, is to help all of our attendees today understand the differences between maintenance and construction when a purchase order, and you'll hear me refer to it as a PO, is appropriate for certain purchases that may be perceived as a construction project, and the process to help determine whether work can be done on a PO or a construction contract. And next slide. And before I move on, I do again want to formally thank my partners in procurement, including Sarosh and Snehal and their extended team for inviting me to present on this. So our agenda includes just touching briefly on the Division of Finance and Administration's values and divisional goals. My partners, or I should say Design and Construction Services, has partnered with Procurement, Facilities Management, and in some cases EH&S, specifically our fire marshal, to uphold these values and divisional goals. And I'll talk about how it pertains to you all. We'll also talk about typical purchase order initiators. We'll also cover the basics and how we define construction and maintenance, which can be done on a PO. And then I'll give you some examples. Some are pretty clear, some are not so cut and dry, and how we work through that. I'll present our current process. I'll use a tool, a workflow tool that is available to you. And I'll go over what that process entails. And then if there's time, we'll go over some questions and answers. Although I only have 12 slides, there's a lot of content, so I'll try to get through it very quickly so that we do allow some time for questions and answers. But if we don't have time, I am available to you at any time. You can email me, call me, and if you want to talk through what work you have planned, we can talk through that. No problem. All right, so DFA's values and divisional goals and how they specifically pertain to you. We prioritize efficiency and effectiveness. I wouldn't be surprised if Snehal has upheld these priorities in these monthly calls. But they speak to design and construction services, facilities management, EH&S, and the work that we do to support you in your efforts as department buyers. Our strategic plan is based on the campus's 4 strategic pillars. And so the goals that pertain to how we serve you, our customers, center on efficiency and effectiveness, specifically prioritizing efficient customer service, and then implementing systems to streamline processes and enhance our quality of service across all departments. And so one of the more recent initiatives, I'm sure a lot of you are already familiar with it, is what procurement has on their website, and that's advertising their customer service management system, ServiceNow, and that's to improve our customer service with an automated work order process. And so you'll see in the presentation today how we've kind of added some parts to the workflow to help this process be a lot more quicker and easier. All right. So purchase order initiators. I want to recognize that there are a variety of representatives that initiate purchase orders, like department buyers on behalf of principal investigators, department buyers on behalf of building facility managers, just department buyers, whether you have that title, that official title or not. We have building facility managers initiating POs, representatives from both facilities management and design and construction services will initiate POs on behalf of building facility managers or departments in general in support of capital improvement projects. And then there could be other initiators of purchase orders, and that could be, let's say, a financial analyst who just so happens to be designated as a department buyer, whether they like that title or not. And so, I want to recognize first and appreciate that you all have your priorities, responsibilities, and demands to ensure your department has the resources it needs to operate successfully. And in most cases, resources that you needed like last week. So I want to first say that. And so I hope that what I present today will help you understand how construction and maintenance are defined, and that there are purchases that can be murky and fall in the gray area in determining whether work associated with your purchase can be done on a PO or a construction contract. And then most importantly, while this process may add more time and effort than you anticipated, it is intended to cut that time down as much as possible. I did a similar presentation for building facilities managers last year, and I like to think that it helped them improve their understanding and manage their expectations a little bit better. All right, Ellen, I'm good. Next slide. All right, so here's a slide that covers the basics and how construction and maintenance are defined. I think the legal eagles up at the university, at the UCOP level, try to make this as crystal clear as possible, but you'll see that it can get pretty murky very quickly. And so construction or a construction project is defined in the Public Contract Code as construction, alteration, repair, improvement exceeding $50,000. That it involves moving, demolishing, altering, upgrading, renovating, installing, or building a structure, facility, or system according to a plan or by a definite process. Construction is also defined as repair, and that pretty much entails restoring property, machinery, systems, facilities, including buildings, roads, and ground, and their components to working order. For now, I'm going to skip over the last bullet, which is in green, and I'm going to shift over to defining maintenance. And that is the upkeep of property, machinery, systems, buildings, utility infrastructure, roads, and grounds. Maintenance is to keep operational and in good working order, or at least systems operational and in good working order. Preservation, but not the improvement or upgrade, and includes replacement of component parts if performed, such as routine work on a recurring basis, or to bring equipment back to its fully functional state, or to ensure system retains its useful life. And so it is important to go through this analysis because it tells you how to move forward with the work, whether we move forward and proceed with construction or define it as maintenance, and so we can proceed on a purchase order. If it's defined a little bit, or one slide back, if it's defined as construction, then it's subject to Public Contract Code competitive bidding requirements, and that's based on the total project cost. And then we're required to use specific contracting methods pursuant to the Public Contract Code. If it's defined as maintenance, then how work is completed is governed by procurement, and our experts are here today. And that can be done through a PO, and I think we all know it's a quicker process, but still we may recommend that traditional construction contracts are used for risky work that may be okay to proceed on a PO. But if we think it's in our best interest, because the work is risky, we may recommend that work be done under a construction contract. So how we define a project has its implications. And so for construction, especially work that exceeds $50,000, the process will add 6 to 8 weeks to your timeline that you might have not anticipated. And in most cases, it might conflict with your PIs, your assistant deans, or your dean's expectations. And so we all know you don't have to contend with these time constraints, and in most cases, cost constraints for work that can be defined as maintenance and done on a PO. Other factors to consider can be that if it is maintenance, facilities management might be able to self-perform the work. And so we can talk through that and kind of plan how we can accomplish your work efficiently. But in either case, you need to ensure that there are correct risk protections in place for the university. A construction contract is more robust than a purchase agreement and requires the contractor to comply with more stringent requirements on their obligations for things like differing site conditions, liability, indemnification, contract time, delays, project safety, and other more broad statutory requirements like paying prevailing wages. Most of which, procurement is knowledgeable and they know that some of their work does apply. But in either case, we're here to talk about those differences. But last but not least, before we move on to the next slide, we may be subject to criminal penalties if we're found to incorrectly engage with vendors or contractors to perform work on a PO that should really be done on a construction contract. This may even result in more stringent regulations and policies that limit your purchasing power. So we want to make sure that we're doing things the right way. And so back to the last bullet in green, the next few slides will cover examples that can't be clearly defined as construction or maintenance and how we carefully conduct a case-by-case analysis. And we'll also introduce, I mentioned this earlier, the workflow tool to help conduct a preliminary analysis at your level. All right, Helen, next slide. First, a warning, we are going to start with, we are entering murky waters, but we'll start off with less murky examples. Next slide. So these are pretty clear, I think. What typical construction projects might look like is like installing new fixed classroom seating to replace old outdated seating, replacing HVAC components where the value of the components can be greater than 50% of the replacement of the HVAC system, painting or repainting interior and exterior of a building, installing AV equipment requiring electrical work, conduit, affixing equipment to the walls for permanent placement, modular wall panels, and then other or I should say clear examples of maintenance is replacing system components in kind, routine yearly maintenance on HVAC, planned yearly maintenance on a roof to recaulk or look at the sheet metal, clear the roof drains, inspecting tile flooring for cracks, and then performing minor tile work to maintain integrity of the flooring, and then keeping apprised of component warranty or system useful life and planning in-kind replacement of the components. Next slide. So here are some murky examples. Carpet, movable furniture, lab equipment, AV equipment, and light bulbs. And the next slide, we will give you more detailed examples. So what I have here is a table that shows a list of the more common products or commodities that are purchased, when you can proceed on a purchase order, when we kind of have to pause and stop and take a close look at the scope of work and determine what is really involved with the purchase. And that's when we get into the gray area. And so you'll see in the next few slides how we kind of work through the gray area. And then when you should just proceed and start planning on moving forward with a construction contract. And so, again, if it's over $50,000, making sure that we competitively bid it, and then understanding the time constraints and the cost constraints. And so when we get to the gray area, we'll specifically analyze whether the work will have implications for code compliance, and then assess whether the work will impact things like general and safety, physical safety, including ADA or accessibility compliance, electrical safety, fire safety, biological, chemical safety. We'll look at the existing building infrastructure, and then we'll also see if there's an existing warranty. And if there is, we want to make sure that we honor that warranty and that we don't void it with whatever work that you might want to have done. And so just real quickly, I won't go through everything here, but this is intended to kind of help you figure out what's clear and what's in the gray area. For movable furniture, you know, if your purchase only requires delivery and placement by your team, then you can proceed on a PO. But when it requires limited, and that's in bold, and it's also italicized for a reason, if it requires limited relocation, modification of existing structural, electrical, plumbing, and mechanical infrastructure, my team will have to take a close look at that scope of work and try to best understand what the modifications are. If it's limited in nature, meaning you can rely on the vendor to, for instance, move an electrical outlet that doesn't require very extensive work with the existing electrical system, we might say, you know, that's okay. Go ahead and proceed on a purchase order. What especially helps your case is if you've already had facilities management, specifically the building trades group, take a close look at it and say, yeah, this is very minor work. And you have documentation to support that somebody from trades has already looked at it and validated that it's limited and you can proceed and rely on your vendor to do the work. Most cases that can proceed on a PO. However, if it's pretty clear that it's going to require relocation, modification of multiple systems, then you should anticipate that we should proceed on a construction contract. With light bulbs, you know, if it's a like for like replacement, I might say like for like, but it's interchangeable with replacement in kind. And all you need to do is plug it in. That can proceed on a PO. But if we need to look at the existing electrical system, we need to understand all the details of the scope of work. And then we'll reach out to our other partners in environmental health and safety, for instance, for their input. But we'll try to make the determination on whether those minor upgrades will require you to go forward with a construction contract, or if it's very minor, a PO. So this is a tool for you to kind of understand, okay, is it pretty clear? Can I move forward on a PO? Oh no, it's going to need, you know, some minor upgrades, minor modifications, limited work. Let's stop and let's ask our partners at DFA, specifically design and construction and facilities management, and in other cases, EH&S. But we'll talk about in the next slide, Helen, how we can facilitate that entire process. So Doreen had published the presentation as well as a PDF of this workflow. If I think, Helen, you might have to pull up the actual PDF file to operate the links, if you can do
No,
that.
so I've actually hard linked everything in this file here so everyone can actually open it up on their screens.
Thanks, Doreen. Perfect. All right. So this is a decision flow chart for department buyers. We developed one for building facilities managers, but it's pretty identical. Thanks to Doreen, we have preserved all of the hyperlinks that you can use, and it leads you to additional resources to help you with your efforts to determine, hey, can I just go ahead and initiate a purchase order knowing that my chances of this going through without any hiccups, you know, my chance is good, then you can do that. But if you're unsure, this process helps you make that determination and what resources you can rely on to do that. And so the very first item on the top left is linked to the UCOP procurement services construction and maintenance flow chart to help you understand, okay, this is the work that I want to do. Is this considered construction or is this maintenance? By using that flow chart, if you're feeling good that it still can be defined as maintenance, great. You move on towards the right. And then you ask yourself, can the basic maintenance or repair service be performed by building maintenance services, building trades with the desired timeline? And so if you can click on that link, Doreen or Helen, that'd be great. Here is a list of what basic maintenance and repair services are available to you through our facilities management team. You can schedule or request maintenance or repair services directly using this link. Or if you have a great relationship with our building trades partners, you can call them directly and then ask them or share what your needs are. Ask them how quickly they can respond to your needs, or if they have the resources. And so if we go back to the workflow, if they tell you no, they don't have the resources to help you, you can keep moving on towards the right. And then you have to ask yourself, will your proposed work impact, and this is everything that I mentioned earlier regarding code compliance. You know, if your work is going to impact general and physical safety, electrical safety, fire, biological, chemical safety, if it is going to impact that, then you have to move down towards the bottom. And that's when you can coordinate and schedule inspections with our campus inspection and or environmental health and safety partners. That will require you to make some calls, send some emails, give your details on the work so that they can properly analyze whether their input is required. And then depending on the extent of their input or involvement, they might just tell you, you know, pause for a minute. Let us reach out to other experts, including our certified building official, to see if we need to figure out, you know, whether this can proceed on a purchase order, but with some qualifications, or if you should just go straight to planning on competitively bidding or using a construction contract. And so if it is the case and that it's determined that you should proceed with construction, then you move all the way to the left. And then the process of starting construction is shown there on the left, and then you can submit a facilities management service request. And I think you all should be able to do that. It'll lead you to signing in to your system, to their system. And it's probably on a different screen for you, Doreen, but that's okay. It's you're required to log in with your credentials, and then you can submit the what we call the FMR, facilities management request, and provide all your details. All right. So going back towards the top, right? If your work is pretty straightforward, it's not going to impact, it's not going to have any code implications or impact infrastructure. The department buyer can send an email with and attach the vendor's quote with all of the scope of work details to a group email that we have. And so if you click on the far right box on the top, it should open up an email to fmrecreview@uci.edu. That email will be sent to several representatives of facilities management, design and construction, and EH&S. For design and construction services, that will include myself and our building official, John Shar. For facilities management, it will include representatives of the building trades team, as well as the project services team. And for EH&S, the designated fire marshal inspector for everyone's input. Outside of this workflow, we have done it in a variety of ways with your procurement representative or your purchasing agent from procurement facilitating this process. So it can work either way. But what this workflow is intended for is for you to, as the buyer, to help make that determination early, so that it doesn't impact your expectations or time expectations. And then if at any point you're stuck and you don't know, you don't feel comfortable making that determination, you can then reach out to the subject matter experts. But if at that point you send an email and it's determined and somebody responds and says, no, pause, proceed with construction, then you can submit the facilities management service request. But if things are looking pretty good and it's pretty straightforward, and you do get a response saying this can proceed with a PO, then you can attach that correspondence to your purchase order or that purchase order requisition. And so that should make your efforts to get a PO initiated and approved easy and quick. You might have missed something that you entered in the chat, Doreen. Is it something for me?
I just want to let you know that we have 4 minutes left. I don't know if you want to go through the entire flow chart right now, but yeah, it seems like the ServiceNow link is currently down through FM, so I will let them know that there seems to be an error on their ServiceNow, but the links are all correct there. And everyone has access and will get a copy of these slides as well.
That's pretty much it. The last slide in the deck is just a quick reminder that what I'm sharing in this presentation is intended to provide you general guidance, and it shouldn't substitute or replace the policies and procedures in BUS 43. And so there's a link to that policy there. And then I encourage you, if you get stuck or just need more specific guidance and want to talk through it, you can contact procurement services or send us an email at fmrecreview@uci.edu for more specific guidance. I'm also happy to take any calls or emails directly, but I'm here to support you in your efforts.
Thank you, Brenda, so much for coming and partnering with us and providing everybody a very nice overview. And hopefully this will help everybody to get at least awareness of the situations that they should be mindful of and things that should be considering when they are working with any of these commodities that may end up becoming a construction contract. I think one thing I would also like to mention and add to what everything Brenda said is that anytime a permit is required, you should go to construction and make sure that they are involved in situations like that, which is an obvious thing. But definitely our building officials are the ones that actually manage all the permits associated with anything to do with construction or even maintenance and repair on our campus. So,
I purposely didn't discuss permits, Nehal,
right.
because we have yet to implement a formal permitting process, especially one that is automated. We're still working on that, or I should say the building official is working on that. But everything that I presented today is really in support of obtaining a valid permit for any construction work that will proceed.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. So yeah, if anybody has any questions for Brenda, you have a minute. I don't see anything in the chat, except thank yous, which is, we absolutely do thank Brenda for, being here, coming here and talking to all of you, giving you a good overview of things to come. As she said, anytime you are in question or a doubt, please feel free to reach out. Don't just submit something making assumptions, because all it does is adds more work, time in the process and extra time everybody has to spend trying to figure out what needs to be done. So getting yourself prepared early on and getting a clear answer is always a good idea. So, and as Brenda said, as part of our division of finance and administration, we all are working collaboratively together to create efficiency and effectiveness in our processes. And this is one way we are accomplishing that. Besides trying to work through a new system that's going to help streamline and automate some of the workflows. I think that's it for today. I think it's 3 o'clock. It looks like Brenda, you did a fantastic job of presenting, so nobody has any questions.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely. All right, and then do we have the link to the survey?
Yes, I've added that to the chat there.
Okay.
So please take our survey. It's a way for us to improve and see if there's any specific topics you'd like us to go over in future training sessions.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here. Have a nice rest of the week.